I know. Oh, this one. Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone, this is Heather, and today I am going to show you how I color an image, and the image that I'll be using is a new collection out. It's the Bestie Blythe Stamp Collection, and today we're going to use her. I'm going to show you how I color. I've had people ask me what colors I use, how do I get all my shading, how do I get all my detail, and I'm going to take you through the process one by one. What we're going to begin on today is her skin. The colors I use for the skin is in the E50 range. What I start with first is E50, okay? And how I go, I want to map out. This is how I do it. I map out where I want my shading area to be first, and I do it with my lightest. And I want to map out along her hair, and then down her cheek, and a little down this side, and then right through here where her hair's at. So let's begin. I just flick a layer base to get an idea of how I'm going to be shading it, because I'll go back in with my darkers and fill it in and do more detail. And don't forget to do all her little freckles, just a little dot over the top of them. Work my way through here and her neck and all the way down this shoulder, and maybe a little bit right here where her clothes sits, just very lightly. And then her hands, just a small layer down the bottom edge, and then that one finger coming down and along the bottom of that finger. Okay, now I take my E51 and I go back over those to make them stand out, because that's going to be the shadow, the shade area where the hair like would fall on her face and around it. Just all those areas where we did the E50. Her little freckles. Her hands. And you can build up color by adding another layer of your E51. It just makes it a little bit darker in those areas. Okay. So now we have that going. I go back to my E50 and I blend out to cover the rest of the face. And here, just blend it out. Like that. Now I go in for a little more darker around the edges, and I use that, and I use E53. Let me find my E53 here. And this is just a very fine line. I'm going to turn her around so I can get a little bit of better control going along this line. Right here at the hairline, just a very faint line. Down this side. Don't forget our freckles, just a little dot. And do the same thing here, just right below her chin on her neck. Down the side here. And along her hairline, and just a little bit on this shoulder. And do the same thing with her hands, just do it on the bottom edge, like the edge closest to the ground. Now you're building up the layers in this, so I go back to the E51 and just pull some of that E53 out. And then back down to your E50 and just pull it out a little bit more. Okay, now we have the start to our skin. Okay, I let that set because I like to do all my first layers, and then I'll go back in and do finer details, add her rouge and stuff like that towards the end after I get everything else out. So first, let's begin with the second part, which are hair here. And I'm going to be using in the E40 range. I like to start with my E43. And what I do is I try to depict what hair is on top of what hair. Like right here, looks like all this hair that flows is a little raised. So I'm going to add this right to this edge along that, because there will be a shadow like the hair is behind this other hair. And just go up. And follow that line. And down here in this little V area. And follow that up because of this little tendril that comes into right here. And then we're going to work on this little area here, because all this will be like a shadow area too. So just very fine. Bring it up this line here a little. And bring it down. All we're doing is we're giving the illusion that there's a shadow here. And then there's also another one up here. And then this will be a little shadow from this angle here due to the fact that hair is flowing over the top of it. And this is where you could come in and add little extra details here with the E43. Then I like to come and add detail like this is coming up into here. Like this would be a shadow. Here would be another little shadow area. Like that. Add a little bit down here. So what I've done is I've just created these little edges that we're going to work off of to build up the shadow areas. And you would have a shadow coming out from underneath her hat also. So just a little bit up here for our shadow. And you would do the same thing over here. And this looks like this is whipping out from this little area, so we'll add all the way around this right here. And then just create the little shadow area. And create a little bit here because the hair changes directions. And then this part that comes down behind her, we're going to add here also. Okay, that's how I begin. Now I go to my E41, and what I do is I just smooth out this a little bit to blend it by going over it a little. Just a few swipes back and forth over your E43. And along those lines, so come over here and do this. Do them over here. And it's better to do a little at a time instead of a lot at a time, because if you keep going and going and going, you're going to blend it to the point you'll have to go back in with your darker again and again and again if you keep blending it too much out. All we're trying to do is just soften it a little bit, because we are going to go back in and add another layer. So, okay, there's the beginning of that. Now this is where I want to add a little more fine shadow area. So what I'll be taking next is my E44, which is just even darker, but it gives it a nice warm chocolatey feeling to this hair, which is what I'm wanting. And just add right along that with a few little pull outs, but not real far out. And do that in all these areas that you've created a shadow effect on. Along her hat. Bring some up here to add, like it's right behind that little tendril. behind her head and her body where the hair is coming out, and you can see it peeking. There we go. Now go back with your E43, and we're going to pull that dark even further out, just right on top of where we laid the dark. Okay. Now back to our E41, and instead of going all over it, just meet it right up to where we stopped with our E43 here, and right next to it, and leave between it. Don't make it come together. You want highlighted areas. And just keep doing that with this and blending that out. See how that's all starting to fade in together and look like a nice seamless little shade, like you're fading it out. Now take your E40, and what I do is I just go all over it with one swoop back and forth, where I just lay it down and go all the way over it. Okay, and there we have the hair also. Now, I want to go back to the skin a little bit now that it's had time to sit, and I'm going to take my RV00 and we're going to start the process of her cheeks, and that is just light little flicks right here at the lash line and just right below the cheek bone area, and then just a little bit here. Not a lot. It just gives it a little bit, because we're going to go back in with more color, but we're starting a foundation. Okay. Now, I'm not too happy with how this is blending at the moment, and it could be my paper, because I'm using a new paper that I haven't used a lot with, called Heavenly White. It's not bad. I'm not liking how that's blending, so I'm going to have to go in and blend a little bit more to get me a little bit happier how this is working. So I'm taking my E50 and just blending it out a little. Yeah, and I'm not too happy with this paper at all. I'm not liking that right there. So, the trustworthy colorist blender. Just go over that. We'll fix it. We're just kind of removing some of the color we had there. Let me try, instead of the RV00, let me try RV10, see what we get. A little better, but not. Okay, yeah, there we go. It's starting to pick up there. And a little right here, just because that's where her other cheek would be, behind all that hair. Now I'll try my RV00 to blend that out just a little. Okay. Okay, we've got the very beginnings of all that. What should we do next? Let's do her outfit. How about a nice blue color? Let's start with our B97. Okay. We're going to do shadows. Her arm is behind her body and behind her hair. So we're going to do the same thing that we did by making a shadow. Just lightly put it. Then we're going to have a little shadow, her armpit area. And then down the side. And then going up the cuff over here. And then probably also right here around the fluff. Around the fluff. Let's do that up here too, but we're going to do that a little bit different. We're going to do the fluff going one way and up one side like that, and then we're going to come to this other side and do the same thing. I use varying lengths. I don't take it all the way the same on both sides. Just different, and fill that in a little bit like that. Okay, so then I'll go to my B93 and pull that out and up. Pull it up and away from where we want our shadow. Pull it away from where the shadow is. Pull that color out. And just a little bit on the armpit area. Go over here and do this. And then come up and let's do this. Bring it up. We're going to blend this all in with our next color. Now down to my B91. Start all the way back and just pull out. Start all the way back and pull out, push out. And run it down this side. And just work it until you get a good blend that you like. Because I'll go back in and add my shadow areas again to make them just a little bit darker. So go back to our B97 and back to where we shadowed, and just add a little bit back in there where we were. Okay. Take your B93 again and just right next to that and pull just a little bit out. It'll give it a nice little blend between the two. Instead of going all the way over it, just pull that little edge out. Now to our B91, and right where this line is now, we're going to pull it from there. Same with this, right where we did that. Okay, now I like to take my B000 and just do a nice whole blue coat over that. See like how it gives it a two-tone effect in there? I just like that. You don't have to do this. You can use any other color you like, or even stay within the range to give you a nice even tone throughout it, but I like this. And just blend it out. Okay. And here's just little flicks back and forth till you get it the way you like it. Okay, so now we have that part done too. And like I said, I'm going to show you the other little things that I do when I go back in to add all this to make it pop a little bit more. Let's go on to the white fluff areas. I like to take my C3 and my C1, okay? And I like to add just itty bitty dots with my C1 first on her shoulder area, and then like the hairline coming out. Just little dots. And then you can add a little more through here if you want to make it look like there's more there. And then I come down here and do it over here by her hair and come up. Then I do it this way, coming up, and then a little through here. Add on the sides. And let's go up this way. And then her boots, since we got that one. I work from my inside out because that's where the darkest part to me would be. Then I take my C3 and I go really slower and I hold way up here so I have real control and just add little dots, not as many as we did with the other one, just enough to make it stand out. Just sporadically around. Like that. And if you're not happy with how it looks, you can always go back in with your C1 and add some more up this way and bring some out this way until you get to a point where you think you like it. Okay, now what I like to do, all these little like wisps that I call them, I take my C5 and I very lightly just give a flick going up. Not very big, just really small. And you can add your own in some other areas so it looks like, and if you want to, you could pull a few down. We have some here. Pull a few down. Around the edge here. And on the bottom fluff here. On our boots, pull a few out and down. Well, let's do a few up. a few here. Then I'll take my C3 and just do it a little bit bigger over the top of those to soften it. And you can even change directions on it so it makes it look like it's a little fluffier coming out. Like a crisscross effect, but just very lightly, not heavy pressure, very light pressure. All right. And I'll take my C1 some more and finish off a few more dots in here to kind of blend it out a little bit from our darker dots. Okay. So we got all that started. Now, her eye, how about a deep green color? I'll take my G99 and just right here at the top of her eye, a fine line coming out and down the outside edge, not even halfway, just around. And then do the same thing for this, but this time only go a smidgen less. So there's this white between those two. Okay. Then I'll take my YG17 and go right along that line. And bring it out just a hair. Just little by little. And I'll use my YG13 next, and once again, just a little to bring it down. And bring it out. And go across that area that we left. And the last would be YG11, and fill in and blend all that out. And there we have her eye, and I went over a little bit. That's okay. Remember I told you my secret little trick before, or at least I have told before. The colorless blending tool. It works great. Where's my other one? I like to use this one better. I got a little bit of that green out, so I just push that green right back up to where it should go. Just push, push, push. And it should push it right back up in there. It'll be a little moist and wet and look funky for a few minutes, but it'll dry and you won't even know it's there. Okay, now with her lips. I like to use E04, and I like to take from one corner or the other, and since we have a lot of shadow shading over here because of her hair, I will start in this bottom corner and work over just so slightly on the bottom lip, and then go to the top part and go to the top part just to the peak like that. Then come to this other side, and I mean so slightly, just a little bit, and do the same thing on the bottom. If you don't like how it looks, you can fill it in as much as you want, but I'm going to add another color to give like a shadowy shade there, but it'll blend completely. And that I will use R20, which I think works really well when blending these two colors together. Just ever so slightly. There we go. And if you're not happy and you want more definition, no problem. Take your E04 again and just add ever so much you want back, just a little or a lot, until you have what you want. There's that part of it. And I just noticed we forgot to do this tendril. That's okay. Take your E43, and where the hair changes directions, with my hair I've noticed that it looks darker like in those areas. So just add just a little bit there, and where it changes direction. Then you can take your E41 and pull that down and pull it up. Work that darker color around. Okay, there we have that. Now onto our boots. I'm not sure if I want to go with the blue or make them black, but I want to show you how I do black. I take my W7, and right where the folds fold over, as I would call it, for the flaps, I like to run right along there with just a slight line with the W7 and pull it out just a little bit here too. Do it on both sides. And then I like to add right here underneath the cuff and down that line a little bit. And then ever so slightly on this outside portion. I mean, just minimal. And we'll do that over here too. Now the inside here, that's where the darkest is, so we're going to do the whole length of that up. Okay, now my W5, and we're going to pull that out just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little, and around there. Down those areas. All the way down that line. Now my W3, and fill in the side areas where we didn't get. And just gently around here, because we still want to leave like a little shine part to it. And then I take my W0 and go over that part, so it just kind of blends that line a little bit. And then this back part right here, I save that to last because I do it a little bit differently, because I want it to be like it's darker but not, because I want to save a line. So I take my W5 and just make a slight line right up the middle. And then I go in with my W3 along the side and feather it out towards it. So it kind of makes it just a hair lighter on the outside, but still makes it look like it's behind everything. And then you can even adjust that. Okay. Did it again. Correct any mistakes you have as you go. You still don't think it looks dark enough for you? That's where you can go back in with your W7 and make it darker along these edges if you would like. Just so slightly. Now for the soul, take your W7 and we're going to run just that bottom line, a slight line all the way around the bottom edge. Then I will go in with my E5. If I can keep a hold of it. And just pull out or pull in. But leave the white line between the shoe part where we had. It makes it look like it's a shadow area from it. And there we go. For her heart, I'm still learning on how to do hearts, but for me, I take my RV10 right around that little area because I want to leave the white part there, and then around this top edge and down. My RV00 and pull in that inside area. Now you can make it darker around these edges. Let's use RV21. And just pull it out there. And just a little more of the RV00 in the center to lighten it. And there's your heart. Just simple, very subtle. Okay, when I come back, I'm going to show you how I finish all this and add more depth. Alrighty.